At 7:03, it's a cloudy sky, 32 degrees downtown at the Arch. The Cardinals' lone all-star from last year is headed to Seattle.
The team reportedly is trading Brendan Donovan to the Mariners in exchange for a package of players and draft picks. The centerpiece of the trade is pitcher Jurrangelo Cijntje, who is considered a top 100 prospect in all of baseball. He's been a switch pitcher, but is likely to eventually only pitch as a righty. The Cardinals also get Ty Pete, a single-A outfielder who is a top 15 prospect in the Seattle system. The trade also involves Tampa Bay, who sends the Cardinals double-A outfielder Colton Ledbetter. Both the Mariners and Rays include a compensatory round draft pick, giving the Cardinals 5 of the top 72 selections in the next draft. Matt Pauley, KMOX Sports.
Starting this season, Major League Baseball takes over television production of Cardinals games.
Cardinals TV ultimately is going to be a new way for fans to watch all of our local in-market games.
If you have cable, you'll still find the games with specific channel numbers coming in a few weeks. If you stream, a standalone subscription will cost $19.99 a month or $99.99 for the whole year. Cardinals Senior VP Anouk Karunaratne says the league isn't just taking over distribution, they're upgrading the visuals with wire cams and cinematic shots.
I think baseball is putting a big focus on thinking about how to modernize, a baseball broadcast. And, some of those things we will certainly experiment with this season.
The broadcasts will also feature new on-screen graphics to visualize the challenge system for balls and strikes. As the Cardinals launch a new era of television, they're also celebrating a century of tradition on the radio dial. Karunaratne says the team's bond with KMOX remains unique in professional sports.
It's a very long-standing, maybe the longest-standing partnership we have, and so we're always grateful and appreciative of that.
More than 600 of the top professionals in the running industry are in St. Louis right now. We asked Sean Sullivan, who's executive director for Running USA, how to start.
Go St. Louis here in town produces a lot of events. Maybe find one of those. That could be your start point through a training program. Get yourself to a start line, build your health, finish your race, and you're contributing to the wellness of the United States through running.
This event in St. Louis brings together race sponsors and organizers from all over the country. Emo's is unveiling its first ever collab. The 60-year-old St. Louis pizza company is teaming up with Mike's Hot Honey to create the Honey Trap Pizza. The pepperoni will go on top of the Provel instead of underneath, so it curls and has crispy edges. Then it's drizzled with Mike's Hot Honey. The pizza is designed to appeal to younger consumers. Emo's president and CEO says Gen Z craves heat, but not too much. Hot honey and cupping pepperoni are both tracking as some of the fastest growing pizza ingredients. The forecast for overnight, lots of clouds, low 25 degrees. For tomorrow, clouds are in control. We'll see some freezing drizzle and a few snow flurries. High temperature of 33, 17 for tomorrow night, 31 for Wednesday. Right now, 32 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Come on, let's get going now.
From KMOX Sports.
We're primed and ready. All day, baby. Man, let's go.
This is the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. On 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Well, an hour later than normal, but that's okay. We certainly have plenty to talk about. Hopefully everybody stuck with us through the SLU Coaches Show, as today is the day that the Cardinals trade Brendan Donovan. Still reportedly have not received any official confirmation quite yet from the Cardinals. You would think some medicals and some other things need to take place, so I don't know if we'll get that official confirmation at any point this evening, but there's enough people reporting it. There's enough people with the full details of the trade that I think we can sit here and say that indeed the Cardinals have traded away Brendan Donovan. Here's what the next hour is going to look like. Before the Donovan trade, I had all kinds of stuff that we were going to do in this hour. We had the TV news earlier today. We were going to talk a bunch about that. We'll probably table that for tomorrow's show. Generally on Mondays, we go back through what Chaim Bloom says to Tom Ackerman during Sports on a Sunday morning and play back all of it. So I spent much of my afternoon listening through that and taking cuts out, and we were ready to go through all of that. But then we just wipe everything off the table. It's a complete rewrite of the show as the Donovan move gets it first kind of got out there that, yeah, this is going to happen. Maybe about 3:30 or so this afternoon, and then information slowly trickled in after that. So what we are doing today for the next hour, this is a little bit dangerous, by the way, because I'll be honest with you, nothing planned. I've got nothing planned. I want to hear from you. I want to know your reaction to the trade. And there's multiple ways to get connected to the show. You can call or text, same phone number, 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. That's how you call. That's how you text. We welcome in phone calls. We welcome in text messages. You can, like I said, call or text. You can tweet at me if you'd like, at Matt Pauley on air, MattPauley on air. Or for those of you who are watching on the video stream and we see those numbers continuing to move in an upward direction, you can leave a comment in the chat and we will address that. If you were with us during Rush Hour Sports and you left a comment and we didn't get to your comment, I no longer see that comment. This is a brand new video, so feel free to leave the exact same comment. If we didn't get to it during the 5 o'clock hour, you can leave that again right here, and I'll do my best to address as many of these as we go along. If you've been with us here on KMOX, we got a little bit of an update to this trade. So in the hour between Rush Hour Sports wrapping up and then this show getting started, the trade got just a little bit better for the Cardinals, as Jeff Passan, I think, was the original one to report it. The Cardinals are actually getting two compensatory round draft picks. They call them, competitive balance round B picks is what they are. They're compensatory picks that you get for competitive balance reasons. And so the Cardinals now, the full trade when it comes to what's going on with the Cardinals, they are sending away Brendan Donovan to the Seattle Mariners. The centerpiece of the deal is, we'll call him right-handed pitcher. He's been a switch pitcher. I would be pretty surprised if it's anything but a right-hander. And I would expect that once Chaim Bloom addresses the media, we're going to hear that they are going to do what Seattle was planning on doing with him, and that's make him just a right-hander. So Gerangelo Senja. Center fielder Ty Pete. He is a guy who got to high A this past year. So, by the way, Senja, he is the top 100 prospect in all of baseball. And I was just texting with, even though Rush Hour Sports comes to an end, Kevin, Bernie, and I continue our text conversations after it. We were just texting about this. CBS Sports released their top 100 prospects today. There's been all kinds of lists that have come out recently. And Senja was number 44 on the CBS Sports list. So we talk about him being a top 100. MLB Pipeline had him, I think, at number 90, if I remember that correctly. But the folks over at CBS Sports, they had him at number 44. To put that in perspective, Liam Doyle was number 37. So think about all the hype and all the excitement about somebody like a Liam Doyle. If you believe the good folks at CBS Sports and their top 100 list, Senja's right there next to him. Ty Pete, an outfielder. He came up as an infielder. It seems like he's going to be an outfielder at this point. And he was the number 11 prospect in the Seattle organization last year, according to MLB Pipeline. Outfielder Colton Ledbetter. He comes over from the Tampa Bay Rays. And then both the Rays and Mariners send those competitive balance round B picks. So the Cardinals get one really high-level draft pick. They get two guys that we'll see what happens with them, and they get two draft picks that are in the top 75 or so. So that's a pretty good return. And I said this before, I'll repeat it again. There was some social media chatter out there for a while that the Cardinals were going to get a haul for Donovan that was extreme. And if you listen to me, if you listen to Kevin, if you listen to any of us on KMOX, we tried to pump the brakes on that narrative because that wasn't going to happen. Brendan Donovan's a really, really nice player. In fact, Jeff Passan tweeted something out a little while ago that I'll share with you later on in the show that shows just how nice of a player Brendan Donovan is. And he does a lot of things well. He's a great guy in the clubhouse. All those things are true. So, but he's not a superstar. He's not on a Hall of Fame track. He's not any of those things. Like Juan Soto was on a Hall of Fame track. So when people are talking about the Cardinals maybe being able to get something like what was got in a Juan Soto deal, that was never going to happen. I like this deal. I think it was a fair deal. The Mariners were able to accomplish some things. The Cardinals were able to accomplish some things. Not totally sure what the Rays were doing. They get a big league piece. They get rid of a draft pick, though, which is not something the Rays normally do. But I get it from a Cardinals standpoint, and I certainly get it from a Mariners standpoint as well. Again, we are giving this hour to you. I would love to get your reaction to this deal. You can disagree with me. That's totally fine. We can talk through it. I know a lot of people, and I don't mean to gloss over, by the way. And I know people are waiting on the line. I'll get to you in just a second, I promise. I don't want to gloss over the fact that Brendan Donovan was a really good Cardinal. Really good Cardinal. Played the game the right way, played it at a high level, always went out. I mean, just so many things that he did. And I'm sorry the Cardinals as an organization are in a spot where a guy who you could have seen be with the team long term has to be moved, or is not has to, but is moved because you're going to make the team better because of what you get back. That part bums me out where the team is at. But once you get past that and you look at what they got in return, I think it's a pretty solid return. All right, 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. That's how you call. That's how you text. You can tweet at me, at Matt Pauley on air. We've got some folks who are watching on the video stream, leaving some comments. Let's get our first phone call of the night. Larry has given us a call. Hey, Larry, you're on Sports Open Line.
You know, I go way back to way before you were born watching the Cardinals, back into the early 60s when the Cardinals traded for basically 5 out of the 8 starting players in their lineup. They were all came through trades from Bing Devine. Then we go on and we made trades. But speaking of today, getting rid of, Brendan Donovan had a little Pete Rose in him. Wouldn't you agree with that?
The way he played the game, I can see that.
He liked to get dirty. He liked to get dirty. He was a ball player. He was somebody that people would want to go to the ballpark and watch play baseball. The guy was a professional. But as far as what the Cardinals are doing, I'm perplexed. Explain to me, how did we get in this position? I mean, what went wrong? This is just insanity to me. I mean, the Cardinals are like, I watch them every night.
Yeah, Larry, I appreciate the phone call, and I don't mean to be like crass about it. Crass is probably the wrong word, but you'll see where I'm going here. It's really simple what happened. Cardinals got passed up by countless other organizations in baseball. Baseball has changed in terms of the way the things we can now say about the game, what we've learned about the game, the tools that allow players to become better. And, I mean, the Cardinals were the best of the best. You go back at the beginning of the DeWitt ownership, and you think about when Jeff Lunau came in and how much responsibility he was given, and how the DeWitt ownership had so much pride in being a system that always was at the top notch of player development. And at some point in the last 10 to 15 years, probably closer to 10 than 15, and maybe even less than that, but at some point, they just kind of stuck with their model, and they didn't really take steps forward in the way that they evaluate players and the decisions that they make. And they're trying to correct that, and they're trying to correct it as best as they can. And it hurts. It's painful. Like you described Brendan Donovan as a guy that you would go watch play. Now, if I'm going to be a smart aleck about it, back in the other direction, fans didn't. Attendance has been terrible the last few years. So, but that has to do with the team's win-loss record. Mason Wynn is a guy that you come watch play. Victor Scott II is a guy that you come watch play. They got a bunch of dudes that you can come watch play and be excited about it, and none of those guys are drawing fans in right now. It's going to take winning to draw the fans in. But baseball has changed, and they have not kept up with the times. And sometimes people push back on like the baseball changing thing. And I think it's Kevin Wheeler who says this a lot, and I think or maybe it's Bernie Miklasz, I don't know, but I think it's a really good analogy. You wouldn't want someone doing surgery on you using the standards of the 60s or the 70s or the 80s. You would want a doctor doing surgery on you that is very familiar and comfortable with all the latest advances in technology, because they're getting better. And again, it's not an apples to apples thing. Playing baseball and doing surgery are not the same thing. I get that. But when people push back on the idea that baseball has changed and want to just apply the standards of yesteryear to today's game, it's a flawed way of thinking, in my opinion. Now, things come back around, right? Like, I'm not saying you never do those things again. I'm not saying that there's not a spot to try to string together hits, although it's never been tougher to do that. I'm not saying that there's never a time to really focus on defense for certain reasons. I mean, the way the game has changed in recent years with the lack of the overshift, baseball's trying to create a situation where you can have some more base hits and things like that. I'm getting into the weeds on this on a day that we need to be talking about the Brendan Donovan trade. But yeah, they just didn't keep up. They didn't keep up, and there's culpability all around because the team was playing and progressing and performing at a very high level, winning the division more often than not, getting to the playoffs, at one point winning playoff series, doing all of that. And I do think when Yadier Molina walked out the door, there were some things he did and some things that he saw where he's a baseball savant, and the things that we are now tracking with technology, he just naturally knew or saw. And when he walked out the door, a lot walked out with him, and all of a sudden the reality of who the Cardinals actually were and what they were doing hit like a ton of bricks. It was coming before then for sure, but if I have to choose like one moment that really brought it all together, that would probably be it. All right, we'd love to talk to you. We got text messages, we got phone calls. Again, if you want to get in here, you can call or text 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. Tweet at me, at Matt Pauley on air. Leave a message on the video chat if you are watching on the video, and we'll continue on. It's Great Bar Sports Open Line. Back with more in a moment on KMOX.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textingterms.us. Texting enrolls you for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out.
This is an important message for all parents of teens. If your teen or preteen is or has been addicted to social media sites such as Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, or YouTube, and they have suffered from eating disorders, body image issues, anxiety, depression, or suicidal thoughts, you may be eligible to participate in a lawsuit for significant compensation. Disclosures by a Facebook whistleblower show Instagram and Facebook know their social media platforms were highly addictive and may have caused eating disorders, body image issues, depression, and suicidal ideation. It appears these social media companies knew they had been causing serious harm to kids, but have done little to stop it. If your teen has been harmed by social media like Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, or YouTube, then you could be eligible for significant compensation. If you'd like to discuss a lawsuit, text LEVEL to 323232, LEVEL to 323232, LEVEL to 323232.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson, Media Advertising Specialists, LLC, is responsible for the content of this ad with principal offices in Chicago, Illinois.
This is the story of the one. As an HVAC technician, he and his digital multimeter are in high demand. So when a noisy office HVAC turns out to be a failing blower motor, he doesn't break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product information, he selects the product he needs to keep everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Are you 50 or older? This news is for you. The CDC recommends you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at risk. People 50 or older are over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults 18 to 49. Just one shot can help protect you. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could it be lower testosterone?
Lower T.
Happens to most guys after 40. I was in the same boat until I started using Nugenix Total T2.
Total T2, the new one I've seen on TV.
Yep, it's the next generation testosterone booster for both free and total testosterone. It's packed with even more man-boosting power, sending nitric oxide levels skyrocketing in just 3 hours.
It actually works?
I feel like I'm in my 20s again. I've got more energy, better results in the gym, and things are even better in the bedroom. Send them a text and get a complimentary bottle.
Text now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T2, the #1 testosterone brand at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, absolutely free. Text AREA to 369-369. AREA to 369-369. AREA to 369-369.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Save big now during Menard's Super Savings Sale. Brighten your home with a 3-panel LED light bulb, now just $1.99. Stay warm with a hardwood firewood bundle, only $3.99. Stock up with Clorox All-Purpose Cleaner, just $2.99. A 16-pack of Zest Bar Soap is only $7.99. Hurry, these great deals won't last long. Sign up for Menard's emails to get the weekly flyer plus exclusive daily flash sales right to your inbox.
Save big money at Menards.
Join Mark Patrick Hypnosis. Lose the weight or stop smoking. Guaranteed only $59.99. Saturday, March 7th at the Residence Inn by Marriott St. Louis Westport in St. Louis. Weight loss hypnosis starts at 11 a.m. Registration at 10:30 a.m. Stop smoking starts at 2 p.m. Registration 1:30 p.m.
This is Megan Lynch. 250 doctors go to Ophthalmology Associates. That's why I trust them. Ophthalmology Associates, 314-966-5000 or youridoc.com.
A century strong. The voice of St. Louis. KMOX.
We're back at it. It's a Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX. We are talking through this entire hour is nothing but talking through all aspects of the Brendan Donovan trade. He gets moved, reportedly, has not yet been confirmed by the Cardinals, but has been reported by enough folks that get things right that we can say with assurance that now. Is there, I don't know that the medicals have been done. Is there always a possibility that somebody's medical comes back a little bit wonky and something changes? Yeah, that happens on occasion, so that would be the only caveat I would throw out there. But, I mean, the deal's done. And 3-team trade. He goes to Seattle. Cardinals get 3 players and 2 draft picks back. If you want to chime in on how you're feeling about it, feel free to call or text 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. You can tweet at me, at Matt Pauley on air, MattPauley on air. And for those of you who are watching on the video stream, feel free to leave a comment, and we'll get to those as we go along. I mentioned this earlier, but maybe for folks who are just now hopping in, if you left a comment during Rush Hour Sports, when that broadcast ended, our little digital studio came to an end. So if you left a comment there and we didn't address it, feel free to leave the exact same comment here, and I can see it, but I cannot see the comments that were made during Rush Hour Sports. So this is a brand new stream that we're doing here. Couple text messages coming in based off the last caller that we got. Chris in Illinois says, I loved the last caller's comment. Brendan Donovan was definitely the new Charlie Hustle. I want to be very, very clear. Very clear. I'm a Brendan Donovan fan. I love the way he played the game, and I love the way he carried himself. A great teammate, a really, really good player, and somebody who I hope gets an opportunity to win at a pretty high level. I found this fun. So Jeff Passan tweeted this out about an hour ago. Gave 2 different players, like the blind player comp. And so this is always better on like when you're seeing it, not hearing it, but we'll do this nonetheless. Player A over the last 3 years, 366 games, 282 average, slash line 282, 351, 420, 117, WRC plus, 7.5 F4. Player B over the last 3 years, 355 games, 291 average, slash line 291, 333, 445, 116 WRC plus, 8.0 F4. So all those numbers are within if you're not familiar with the advanced analytics and numbers that I just mentioned, that doesn't matter for this conversation. All you have to know is those numbers are very close to each other. Player A is Brendan Donovan. Player B is Bo Bichette. So essentially, they're the same guy over the last 3 years in a good number of categories. And you're going to feel a lot more comfortable with Donovan going and playing a bunch of positions that you're probably not going to have Bo Bichette play. So there's been a lot of stuff on Bo Bichette here this offseason, and to look at that was a good tweet from Jeff Passan, and certainly wanted to share that with you for sure. When the guy called earlier, he said that Brendan Donovan was a player that you would want to go watch play, and I kind of sarcastically said, well, nobody for the Cardinals over the last couple of years has been enough for fans to show up. They want to see a winner. But then I mentioned the individuals who are reasons to go watch the Cardinals play, and I certainly hope that more fans make it out to Busch Stadium this year. That is my hope. A guy who's a little bit of a smart aleck sends in a text and says, or a guy or girl, I don't know, a person sends in a text, says from the 314, says Victor Scott has hit 216 and 179 the last 2 years. I don't think that's a guy I'm going out of my way to watch. Okay, point received, but also I think most people are smart enough to know why I made the statement that I made. No, you're not going to watch Victor Scott take at bats. He has not performed at that level. But in case you didn't know, there's me being a smart aleck. There are other things that happen in baseball beyond just hitting. And watching Scott in the outfield, even if Scott's only getting on base a quarter of the time, watching him on the bases, that's a reason to go watch Victor Scott play. So I get the point that you're trying to make, but the point I'm trying to make is there are individuals who do things at a very high level, and Victor Scott isn't hitting at a high level yet, but he does a bunch of other things at a pretty high level. Got a message from Kelly that says, do you think we're close to being done and ready for spring training with this bunch? You're going to have to learn everybody all over. My gut says they're probably done. I'm at like an 80% on that, 80, 85%. I leave open the possibility that this team could still move on from a JoJo Romero, depending on what gets offered. I also think there's maybe an outside shot of them moving on from Lars Nootbaar. The Nootbaar injury puts a little bit of that makes it a little bit tougher, because that's probably a sell low type situation where if you do want to move on from Nootbaar, well then you hope that he starts the season at some point pretty close to the season, if not on opening day, and he has a nice start to the season, and his value starts to come back up. So you would have to be blown away, I think, for a trade for Lars Nootbaar at this point. But I haven't closed the door on that being a possibility. I think I'd be pretty surprised if anybody other than those two guys ended up getting moved before the season or even before spring training. Ron sends in a message and says, why get rid of him? He's still young enough to be part of the rebuild. I don't get it. Ron, it's because he has 2 years of club control left. And in 2 years, I don't think their timeline is that they're probably not contending at the highest level in 2 years. So he is not somebody who, if you tried to extend him, you could have. What if he wanted to be extended as this team is doing what they're doing right now? I've played the clip many times where Heim said in one of his press conferences, when they've got decisions to make and there's two decisions kind of going in alternate directions, decision A and decision B, and decision A impacts the long term more positively and decision B impacts the short term more positively, well, then they are going to go with decision A. They're going to make the long-term decision. So this is a great example of that. Trading Brendan Donovan helps the Cardinals more from a long-term perspective because guys who are going to be here past Donovan's 2 years are going to be on the team. Whereas keeping Donovan, and if they wouldn't have gone in a package of players that they were comfortable with for Donovan, I would have been totally fine with them trading. Like, this is not me saying, oh, do anything you can to trade Brendan Donovan, sell him for pennies on the dollar. No, I'm not saying that at all. I would not have been angry if Donovan would have opened up the season with the team. That would have been totally fine. But once you had that decision in front of you, where you make this move and it helps the team long term, or you don't make the team and it helps the term short term, they're going to make the long term decision. This is a perfect example of what Heim was saying when he said when there's a decision to be made and one direction goes in one way and the other direction goes in the other, they're always going to go with the long term. Well, here you go. That's him following through with what he said. And I appreciate that about the man, and we're very, very early on in his tenure, and there's going to be adversity and there's going to be moments where things are going on and he's going to have to try to find a way to kind of navigate through situations. So it's still the grade is incomplete at this point because we're still early on. But essentially, everything the man has said he's going to do, he's done. He's followed through. I don't think there's any question about that. And I feel like sometimes fans don't feel like it was that way previously. Communication and being forthright about things was not always a strength of this organization and the previous regime. So when you hear things that are said, you have this skeptical feeling because you are applying the standards of a previous regime to the current regime. And I think that is flawed thinking. So that's Ron, that's a really long answer, and I think that's a good question. I'm not mad at you for asking the question. I think it's a good question, but there's your answer. And I gave you the answer, but Heim gave you the answer first, and he gave you that answer a few months ago when he spoke to the media. We'll take another break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation. Again, if you want to get in here, you can call, you can text 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. You can tweet at me, at Matt Pauley on air, or leave a comment in the video chat. We've got more in just a moment. It's a Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textingterms.us. Texting enrolls you for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out.
This is an important message for all parents of teens. If your teen or preteen is or has been addicted to social media sites such as Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, or YouTube, and they have suffered from eating disorders, body image issues, anxiety, depression, or suicidal thoughts, you may be eligible to participate in a lawsuit for significant compensation. Disclosures by a Facebook whistleblower show Instagram and Facebook know their social media platforms were highly addictive and may have caused eating disorders, body image issues, depression, and suicidal ideation. It appears these social media companies knew they had been causing serious harm to kids, but have done little to stop it. If your teen has been harmed by social media like Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, or YouTube, then you could be eligible for significant compensation. If you'd like to discuss a lawsuit, text LEVEL to 323232, LEVEL to 323232, LEVEL to 323232.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson, Media Advertising Specialists, LLC, is responsible for the content of this ad with principal offices in Chicago, Illinois.
For 100 years, KMOX has been a part of St. Louis. Now, those moments live on, preserved, remastered, and ready to be heard again. Discover KMOX from the Archives, a podcast featuring classic audio from a century of service.
Sponsored by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, the genuine, the original.
The KMOX from the Archives podcast, available now at KMOX100.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
At Gray Bar, we know your time is money. That's why our services go beyond parts and products. With kitting, pre-assembly, wire carts, and Gray Bar smart reels that keep you moving. We stage materials and manage logistics so you can spend less time sorting and more time installing. And with locations nationwide, we deliver when and where you need it, working to make your job easier every step of the way. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
Are you turning 65 or new to Medicare? Humana knows not everyone has the same needs when picking a Medicare Advantage plan.
Now that I'm retired, I want to enjoy the life I've worked hard to build. So I want a plan that covers me when I'm traveling the country.
Humana has a plan for that.
As a veteran, I want a plan that fills in the gaps my VA coverage doesn't provide, like dental care.
Humana has a plan for that.
I feel good about my health. I just want care and coverage with predictable costs. No surprises.
Humana has a plan for that. With a Humana Medicare Advantage plan, you get coverage and benefits that focus on what matters most to you. Learn more at gethumana.com. Humana, a more human way to healthcare. Humana is a Medicare Advantage HMO and PPO organization with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in any Humana plan depends on contract renewal.
Don't miss Mosby Building Arts Home Improvement Show, Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KMOX. One of the last call-in shows where you can get live answers to your remodeling, design, and construction questions. Tune in Saturdays at 11 a.m.
Tuesday night, it's men's Billikens basketball action as they face Davidson. Pre-game 7:45, tip at 8 on your home for Billikens basketball. KMOX.
Welcome back in. You're locked into a Gray Bar Sports Open Line here on KMOX. We take you till 8 o'clock. At 8 o'clock, we've got our Gas House Gang replay. Gas House Gang at noon today happened well before we had any idea that Brendan Donovan was going to get traded. So if you tuned in tonight, looking for talk about the Cardinals TV situation and looking for talk about the Billikens and the Blues and all that. That was certainly part of the conversation today on Gas House Gang. So that's going to be from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. We will talk about the Cardinals TV situation tomorrow when we've got almost a full 2-hour show. We're done just a little bit early tomorrow. Billikens tip at 8, so they'll have pregame at 7:45. So we'll have an hour and hour 45 tomorrow, and we'll get into the TV deal situation. However, if you want answers, the good news is during Gas House Gang at 8 o'clock, Anouk Karuntarante, the Cardinals Senior Vice President for Business Operations, he joined the team, or joined the show, I should say, and he went through all the details on the TV stuff. So, again, we'll talk about that more tomorrow. I want to get all the Donovan stuff in today, but there will be, if you've got questions, I think most of your questions will be answered by Anouk coming up after the 8 o'clock news here on KMOX. Did want to touch on what this means for the 2026 Cardinals. And I realize I just got done in our last segment talking about how this is about next year, like next year's, not 2026, but certainly 2027 and beyond. That's the motivating force behind making a trade like this. But it does still have an impact, has a large impact, huge impact, in many different ways on what the Cardinals are going to look like in 2026. I've said it before, in many ways, Brendan Donovan being on the team or not being on the team affected basically every position but shortstop and center field. And now he's gone, and it creates a little bit more clarity. Not all the clarity in the world, because there's still some question marks out there. We don't know if Lars Nootbaar is going to be available at the beginning of the season. We don't know how much Ivan Herrera is going to catch. That's another thing. In fact, we got a question about catchers. We'll touch on that in a moment, but Herrera plays into that. But I think this does two things very directly that are important. One of them I wish would have happened last year, so we weren't having this conversation now, but such is life. The events of life happened, and you move forward with it. The easy one is this now gives a very clear path to J.J. Weatherholt being the everyday second baseman, assuming he makes the club out of spring training, and there's probably even more of an open door for him to make the club out of spring training. At this point, it would be a surprise to me if he's not your everyday second baseman. That's the first thing. The other thing is Nolan Gorman at third finally gets that runway that was talked about last year. And I hate to use the term runway because of the way it was used last year. And it's up to him to go with it or not. It's not a leash that just goes forever, but it's him going into a season with a position. Now, I think they'll probably platoon a little bit with Sajaci over there at third. That would be my thought. Although I've never totally understood that with Gorman on wanting to platoon, because over his career, his lefty-righty splits aren't bad. He's splitty, but he's not overly splitty. But this is a chance for Gorman to walk through a door. And to me, it's kind of the last chance for him to do it. I was very happy with about a 6-week period of time for him last year. I was very disappointed with some other times, including the way he finished out the year. This is a guy who has a high enough ceiling that you give him every opportunity to try to bring that to fruition. But to me, this is it. And you've done what you needed to do to clear out third base. Now you move forward with Gorman there, and you give him some time. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You know what you need to know, and you move forward in another direction. Let's go back to the phones. Bob has given us a call. Hey, Bob, you're on Sports Open Line.
Yes, I'm very disappointed. He was the best hitter on the Cardinals last year. He's the best hitter that we've had for quite a while. I'm a season ticket holder, and I'm canceling my season tickets. That's not your fault. You know, what I'm saying is if they look at his record, he's the highest batting average the Cardinals had. They got rid of Arenado, had to give up $30 million to get rid of him, and to go to the Arizona Arab. I'm so upset, you know, that I'm telling my son we'll cancel the season tickets, whatever he wants to do, you know, because I'm telling you, this man, I told the previous president of baseball operations that give him $11 million right now, and when it comes to free agency, he'll probably take something, But no, they don't care if I've been a season ticket holder for 20 years, which I have been since they opened up the stadium, and I'm very upset. I'm an old man, but I'm still very upset. That's my comment, and I'm very, very disgusted with Bloom. I was disgusted with Mozela, but I'm more disgusted with. I know what they're trying to do. I'm 83 years old, and I've been around for a long time, and I know a little bit more about baseball than some of these 42-year-old guys. But anyway, thank you for taking my call.
You bet, Bob. Appreciate the call. I'll be honest, I always have a hard time talking with folks like that because I don't have an answer when somebody says, I'm 85 years old. I don't want to see a rebuild. What are you talking about? I don't have an answer for that. I am sorry that this is happening to you as you get to the later stages of your life. Like that's just I don't have an answer. I don't have an answer for that. My answer is for people who are more willing to be patient with the club, that this gets them closer to winning a World Series at some point. Not this year, not next year, years down the road. Because you're bringing in a ton of high-level talent. This pitcher, Senja, who came in, again, I mentioned it earlier, CBS Sports had him as a top 50 prospect. No matter what list you're looking at, he's a top 100 prospect. This guy's a dude. And that's what they need to win. I hate this is the part of the conversation that I hate. I hate it so much because I think the world of Brendan Donovan. I think he's a really, really good player. Really, really good player. And I hope the best for him. And like I said earlier, I'll repeat this again. It is sad for me that the Cardinals got to this place, this franchise. It is sad for me that they got to this place, that a guy who just yells and screams, somebody who should be a Cardinal for their entire career, that where the organization is at this point, you get closer to win a World Series by moving on from him than by keeping him. And so this is not me taking a shot at Brendan Donovan as a player. It's going to kind of sound that way. It's not the intention. Please take me at my word when I say that. We're talking about a guy who was a 287 hitter with a 775 OPS and like a 350 on base. One of the issues with the Cardinals right now is they don't have any great players. They do not have any great players. They do not have any superstars. If Brendan Donovan is on another team that has other all-stars, Donovan's probably not an all-star. So we lift up these players who are the best players on the team, and we try to say that they are equivalent to the superstars that we have seen in St. Louis over the years. Brendan Donovan isn't Albert Pujols. He's not Larry Walker. He's not Lance Berkman. He's not Yadier Molina. He's not Carlos Beltran. Like whoever you want to go with, okay? That's not who Donovan is. That doesn't take anything away from who he is as a really, really good player. But he's not a superstar. So my response to somebody who gets really, really upset about Donovan getting traded is you may be overstating a little bit his value. People do this with Tommy Edman all the time. They make Tommy Edman out to be, the second coming of Mickey Mantle. And Tommy Edman's a really, really good player. And I know he dealt with some injuries this past year, but Tommy Edman in 2025 was a 225 hitter with a 656 OPS. Donovan's a better hitter than Edman for sure. I'd say Donovan's a better player than Edman. But sometimes you got to take a step back and really look at the numbers. And I know a lot of baseball fans are Cardinals fans, and they don't watch the rest of the league. Donovan's great for Seattle, and Seattle's right there. Right there. He's the perfect addition to that team, and he's going to help them win, and probably win in a pretty big way, and he's going to have a stacked lineup around him, and that's going to make him that much better. But let's not make Donovan out to be a superstar player on a Hall of Fame track. That's not what he is. And there's nothing wrong with that. He's a really good player, and I'm sad that he's not a Cardinal anymore. And that's why I don't like these conversations, because it sounds like I'm trashing the guy, and I am not. I like him a lot, but people just make him out to be somebody that I don't think he is. 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. That's how you call. That's how you text. You can tweet at me, at Matt Pauley on air. Leave a comment on the video chat. We're back with more. We'll wrap up this edition of Gray Bar Sports Open Line in just a moment right here on KMOX.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. My best advice to you when hiring a lawyer for your injury case is simple. If you know court personnel, ask them who they'd hire. They know. If you know an insurance adjuster, ask them. They know. And then ask them about us. Ask them about Morgan & Morgan. They know. I look forward to talking to you soon. There's only one Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm, for the people. Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
When it comes to planning your retirement, there's a lot to think about. Portfolio management, tax planning, and retirement income just to get started. Steve All and his team at the All Financial Group focus on those things and more. Their goal is to help you achieve your goals. Call 636-230-8824 or online, yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve All, NPN number 153-07419.
Big game, big screen, big energy at Ballpark Village, Sunday, February 8th. Enjoy the big game like you're in the end zone, featuring in-arena touchdown celebrations, band cams, contest VIP packages, and more, hosted by RDJ and DJ Dex. Save up to $10 on tickets with code KMOX. Tickets and event details at stlballparkvillage.com/events. For more information, KMOX.com/events.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could it be lower testosterone?
Lower T.
Happens to most guys after 40. I was in the same boat until I started using Nugenix Total T2.
Total T2, the new one I've seen on TV.
Yep, it's the next generation testosterone booster for both free and total testosterone. It's packed with even more man-boosting power, sending nitric oxide levels skyrocketing in just 3 hours.
It actually works?
I feel like I'm in my 20s again. I've got more energy, better results in the gym, and things are even better in the bedroom. Send them a text and get a complimentary bottle.
Text now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T2, the #1 testosterone brand at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, absolutely free. Text AREA to 369-369. AREA to 369-369. AREA to 369-369.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
Just a few more minutes left in this program. We've gotten tons of messages and comments. I haven't gotten to everybody. I apologize. We'll keep this conversation going coming up tomorrow and over the coming days. Did want to get to a few more messages before we get out of the way. From the 314 says, this has to do with the Cardinals' unwillingness to spend the big bucks to go after all-star free agents instead of settling for end-of-career players to shore up their team. Dodgers didn't get where they are by following the Cardinals' model. We no longer have any attractions to draw in the fans. I agree and disagree with parts of that. There's a lot to what you just said. For being a short number of words, you said a lot in that text. So let's go through this a little bit. First off, the Dodgers, comparing to the Dodgers is a tough one for me because the Dodgers play on a different playing field than everybody else. That doesn't mean that you don't expect to compete with them, but comparing the way the Dodgers do their business and the way the Cardinals do their business, the Cardinals can't do their business the way the Dodgers do. So I have a hard time with that analogy. I'll just start with that part to get that one out of the way. Also, the idea that the team doesn't have any attractions to draw in the fans, Also disagree with that. Like I said earlier, I think there are pieces that are very entertaining. I love watching Mason Wynn play shortstop. I've said this before, there were so many times last year, and there were bad games last year. They were below 500. I'm not trying to put lipstick on a pig here. But there were times last year where I saw this team do things, and I looked around the ballpark, and I went, man, that's a bummer that more people aren't here to see what I just saw. So I think that's a little bit unfair to say that they don't have any attractions to draw in the fans. But like I said a moment ago, I would say they don't have any superstars right now. And if an attraction to draw in fans has to be a superstar to you, well, then we agree. I would put the bar a little bit lower. So let's go to the first part. And this is going to take a moment before we get out of here. Again, it reads, this all has to do with the Cardinals' unwillingness to spend the big bucks to go after all-star free agents instead of settling for end-of-career players to shore up their team. I agree. And I don't think it's actually a money issue. Like, I don't know if you were trying to present it as a money issue. I think it's a resource allocation issue. And I always hate that I bring these two guys up because they're both great guys. They're still around a little bit. They do the Cardinal Territory podcast with Jim Hayes, which is great. But Kyle Gibson and Lance Lynn are the poster children of what went wrong with this organization. Not because they weren't both good Cardinals and did a nice job, but the spot on on the team that they filled should have been filled by people produced by the minor league system and player development. That should not have been a go out in major league free agency and spend money on these guys. Player development was not, is not, has not been producing enough and the level of players that this team needed at the major league level, where you didn't have to worry about highly paid players in those spots, so you were able to take that money and use it elsewhere in a more impactful way. They both, if I remember, I don't have their salaries in front of me, but I think I remember they were both making $11-12 million a year. Let's call it 12. That's $24 million. If you would have had prospects coming up and being able to fill out the rotation, the back end of the rotation, and then you had a big hole somewhere and you had $24 million sitting around, and you can go spend $24 million on one player instead of two players, well, then all of a sudden you're bringing in an impact player. All of a sudden you're bringing in somebody who's an all-star caliber player. So it's all connected to each other. So when you see the Cardinals go out and acquire pitcher after pitcher after pitcher after pitcher after pitcher, and pitching is the most expensive thing out there, and they go get another one today in Senja, well, what they're doing is they're setting themselves up that these guys are going to get to the big leagues. These guys are going to fill roles on the team, and then you're going to be able to take that money and spend it elsewhere. I know there's a lot of Cardinals fans out there that do not believe that when the Cardinals are ready to compete at a high level, that the DeWitts are going to spend the money again. I disagree. I think they will. We're all going to find out. At some point in time, this roster is going to be at a place where it looks like they're ready to go, and there's going to be somebody who's out there as a free agent or somebody out there that's available in a trade where you have to pick up a lot of salary, and we'll see whether or not they do it. And if they don't, I'll be critical. Right now isn't the time to go spend that money. So there's no way to say yes or no that's going to happen. All we can do is wait. But what they're doing right now is hopefully creating infrastructure where so many of these spots can be filled by cost-controlled players who are still playing at a pretty high level that you can pick and choose and fill those holes with more expensive players and hopefully win at the highest level. Aaron says that's going to be in 2035. Aaron, I disagree with you. Dear God, I hope you are wrong. That is it for a Gray Bar Sports Open Line. We'll talk to you again tomorrow right here on KMOX.